Okay. Hey, everybody. How are you? I am finally back on again. It is Malika from Malika Speaks. Just mind me, I'm just putting on a little intention oil, a little Pisces drip. Get it going. Get it going. I'm on my queen over here, maximizing this powerful Aries energy. Okay. And then I've got some Avertine and some citrine. Um, that I am maximizing for energy today for my crystals. I wanted to get back on here. Why I had the energy to do this and make this particular video about Will Smith, the incident, the now famous incident that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock, when basically Will Smith smacked the fire, the bejeezus out of Chris Rock on stage at Oscars 2022. All right. And so everybody's kind of been talking about that and giving all these different perspectives. And I wanted to jump in right away and share a perspective with you from my experience in dealing with trauma and dealing with emotional triggers, dealing with PTSD, and being a holistic practitioner in that community and having some expertise dealing with that. So I wanted to do that for you guys and bring you a little bit of perspective. I made a smaller video, which I may or may not post into this video so that we can dive deep into it. But now as more and more information has been coming out today, I just posted something that said exactly what I'm talking about why, because I think the question is not, this is not about getting into a debate. It's not about if you're right. Excuse me, y'all. Just I feel a little glossy. I feel a little glossy. I gotta take it down a little bit. Gotta take it down. Because I don't do no edits. I don't do no edits on here. Now I'm gonna get serious, but I can be laughing and bugged out too. So anyway, right? So a lot of information is starting to come out. I believe Chris Rock has put up his apology. Will Smith gave an official apology, and he started a somewhat apology doing his acceptance speech. Now, I've heard everything from Will has got a demonic spirit. We need to pray for him. To he's deeply troubled. To this is not about Chris Rock. It's about August Alstina or whatever his name was, the entanglement guy. To Will ain't getting no panani. To all kinds of things. And although some of those things may or may not be true, I'm not here to judge because I feel like us as a people, we put too much judgment one on one another, and we need to have more compassion and more empathy for one another. And I'm not here to say whether it was right or wrong, because personally, I don't believe it's right. Just because someone says something, that you have the right to put your hands on anyone. So it's not about that for me. It's about looking deeper and understanding the why. Why did Will do what he did? For those of you who don't know, a few months ago, I think it dropped a few months ago. I can look on my Audible because I have it on my book app, which is Audible. But I believe it was um I don't like doing too many things at the same time. It should be in my library because I saved it. But I'll be trading in these credits now that I know for new credits. So I might have deleted it. Okay, so I don't know when it got in there, but yeah, it was a few months ago. But anyway, so the book is named Will. It's his autobiography, which I thought was a great piece of work. I thought it was very powerful. And I thought that, and I'm not here to promote the book unless Will wants to drop a check. He can drop a check. I thought it was an excellent piece of work because I'm a writer and I try to understand from the reader's perspective and also the writer's perspective. This book was not what I expected at all. It was not Hollywood. I thought it was going to be Hollywood and tell a lot of his Hollywood stories. The thing that I liked about it, that it was narrated by him. It had his voices and other people's voices who were the real people's voices. It was kind of funny. It was everything Will and everything that I didn't really know about Will. The um from West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground. That's where I spent most of my days, that Will. And really beginning to understand his life. And I did not know when I read that book a few months ago that, of course, this situation was going to happen and I was going to be able to speak directly to it. All right. So here's the thing the takeaway, the greatest takeaway that I got from the book that I heard him saying that it was a recurring theme over and over. Okay. So obviously, I won't ruin it for you, but he is a victim of, I guess, what we would deem to be domestic violence and abuse. His mother was abused by his father, his whole family. This is something that's stated, so it's not allegedly, was privy to that and was the product of that. And there was one incident that was really, really bad where basically Will's father beat the shit out of his mother. And he was a little boy. I can't remember how old at this time, but he talked about those feelings of powerlessness, how he wanted to do something so bad, but he was powerless in that moment. And how that particular incident plagues him over and over and over again throughout his life with the self loathing, with thinking he wasn't good enough, where, he couldn't stand up for the people that he loved. And that later included, his wife, his children, other people in his life. So this has been a recurring theme up until this point in Will's life. And obviously something that he's still dealing with not feeling like, let's go deep, because it's about an emotional trigger. That was an emotional trigger, what Chris did talking about his wife. But the difference is now he's a grown man versus being a young child, and he had all power and all authority to be able to protect what he deemed as his wife. Now, how he did that, again, this is not about right or if it's wrong, if he shouldn't have. Obviously, there was a better way to deal with it than to resort straight to violence, right? But he did it and it's over. But the reason why is what I want us to focus on. It was a direct trauma response. And I knew it immediately when it was happening. It was almost like Will waited all this whole moment, his lifetime, to show, I really am valuable. I really can protect my family. Now, I don't want to give it all away because you have to read the book to get the whole gist of what I'm saying. But that's what it boiled down to. So that I guess, his children might look at him differently. His spouse may look at him differently. Even his parent, the parent that's still alive, which is his mom, may look at him differently. His brothers and his sisters. He could finally do something and he did it. And obviously, you saw immediately he was remorseful. He began to cry. He felt bad about, I believe some of the brothers had to, Denzel and I forgot who else. Tyler Perry had to come and had to, console him and talk to him and all of these different things like that. So it wasn't so much about Chris Rock and what he had said before, and even about this entanglement and about their marriage and about all these, as it was that it was an emotional trigger that provoked this trauma response. And that was confirmed today in another article. Let me see where the article is because I like to give my sources. It's on my Facebook page if anybody is friends with me. Um, it's on, is it Fox 5? People, there's a link to a link. But this particular link, which is on the Things That Matter site, I think it's MITU. We are MITU. Okay, somebody's calling me and I very much cannot talk right now. So anyway, it was on there and it said Will Smith says watching his mother be physically abused by his father as a child defined who he is. I failed her. And I knew that from the book. It was over and over. He kept having this reoccurring theme of feeling like he failed. He failed her in that moment. And then everything else subsequently in his life turned into self-loathing. And no matter how many big movies he made and how much money he made and how many things he tried to do and give his wife and his family, they didn't want those things or desire those things. They wanted him. And I feel like, now this is just my opinion in this moment, he felt like not only can I do something about this is my moment. I can stand up for the woman that I love. I can stop self-loathing. I can show the world that, I am Will. This wasn't a Will Smith moment. This was just a Will moment. He just had a will moment. And I think us in our human makeup need to have, I hate to say compassion, empathy, right? Some sort of empathy, some kind of compassion. Now, I'm not saying, again, what happened to Chris Rock was right. It wasn't right. I mean, brother got smacked in the face and it was pretty hard. It looked like a punch to me. They all saying a smack, but it damn sure looked like a punch to me. And I'm sure the embarrassment that he had to deal with, the memes, the whatever. I believe they asked him if he wanted to go into any litigation, and he said no, he didn't want to do that. So I hope that the brothers can come to use this as a teachable moment and come to um, a moment of compromise where they can heal that, right? Because we have to heal that, and especially in the Black and the brown community. So back to these trauma responses. So what Will went through and what he experienced was a direct result of the abuse he had witnessed, right? About all of the feelings that he had and how that was an emotional trigger, even though he talked about how he had been in years of therapy and counseling and help and awareness and all that. We still can have trauma responses. Now, I'm going to tell you, I took a whole bunch of notes yesterday. And today, I'm not feeling like going in and getting a notebook. I feel like this should just come from my heart and come from my spirit. Get me a little taller because for some reason I look shorter. Okay, now I look a little taller, right? So it should come from my heart and it should come from my spirit. Trauma responses. I myself have dealt with an extreme amount of trauma, especially as a young child through young adult. I know what it looks like. I know what it sounds like. I know what it tastes like. I know what it smells like. I've studied it, so not only do I have the study of it, through hours and hours of, it being my craft, but also the research of it, also the life experience of it, also the case studies of it, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So this is not something that I'm a novice to, which is why I recognize what it was right away. Now, I'm not going to get on the bandwagon again of who's right and who's wrong, because I think that's null and void. I think the deeper question that we should be asking is why. And so I hope this just quick little video answered some of the why, and that we can continue this conversation. How rather can we heal from emotional triggers? I'm going to try to find another little, matter of fact, I'll drop the link in the description. I did a video about watch your triggers. I used to do these 1 minute Malika motivationals, which if anybody's interested in, they're still up there. It's about 20 something of them, about 2 years ago, maybe. And I would just drop a little 1 minute motivational video. And one of them was about watching your triggers. And I think when we have trauma responses, that's what we must be aware of. We have to know what's going to trigger. And sometimes it's just a response. Like I believe what he did was just a response. He didn't really have time to think about it. If you looked at it, he just kind of like, I think he laughed at the joke. Then he kind of looked up at his wife. And then I think he made a decision in the heat of the moment. So it may or may not have been impulsive, but it's about knowing and having that awareness of what emotionally can trigger us. And maybe I don't think he could have did anything about putting himself in that position because he was obviously sitting there. You already know you're fair game if you're sitting in the front seat of any comedic show. Like anything can happen, right? And so he couldn't do anything to prevent that, or he didn't know the joke beforehand, or they could have taken themselves out of that situation. There was nothing they could have done. But I'm talking about for us who respond out of trauma, who respond out of pain, who respond out of our abandonment and rejection and neglect and, abuse and all of these things that cause us to have trauma responses. We must create an awareness around this. I have a very good awareness of what makes me emotionally triggered. So what I try to do is not put myself in those places, talk to those people, if there's something that I can't prevent, I will try to have a game plan, an exit plan, a conflict resolution plan, a calm down plan, so that I can confront, whatever is coming at me, right? Now, the last thing I want to say is there's one thing that Denzel said, and it was something to the effect that when you are at your highest peak, that's when the devil comes for you. And I will have to say I agree and disagree, right? with that, because I don't think it's just at your highest peak that the devil will come for you. I think that that is the devil, the enemy, the adversary's job to come for you. So you always got to know you're going to be come for, right? So that again, having that awareness, right? And yes, it is true for every level. There seems to be a new devil, a bigger one, always some bigger and bigger BS that comes along with this. So I believe, I just want to say, after seeing everything that's coming out or whatever, I don't think it's no, sometimes we get too into it. We try to make it a conspiracy theory. We try to make it this and try to make it that. No, it was just a regular brother. That's what y'all got to do. Y'all got to take away the Will Smith, the actor, the million dollar multi-million dollar actor that's made all these movies, Men in Black and this one and that. Come on, what are some of the ones? Men in Black, um, the Aladdin one that he just did. What are some other good ones? I am something. I am, what was it? I am Legend. I am Legend. He did the little karate one with his son. He's done so many movies. And of course, we all loved him from The Fresh Prince, but I don't think that that was that Will. I think it was just Will, Will from Philly. And so we have to give grace, we have to give grace to people for being human beings and stop looking at them as superheroes. Sometimes celebrities, we look at them as superheroes and we think that they could do no wrong. And so that's why it's like, oh, it's such a shock because you look at him as a good boy, as a pretty boy. He can't do anything wrong, but not understanding that he's just that little boy that witnessed his father beating his mother's ass. And there was nothing that he could do, but not just that time. I think that was one of the worst times that he talked about. But this had happened over and over again. And also with the family, the children being abused, also the verbal abuse, all of these things can weigh heavily on a child's heart and can carry into their adulthood. So that's what I want to bring out is about those trauma responses. That's my perspective. Remember, an opinion, we all have them, right? So I'm not trying to challenge yours or you challenge mine. I'm just trying to show you from my professional standpoint, rather, what could have happened here. And I believe it was an emotional trigger that caused this trauma response for Will Smith and Chris Rock. I hope, like I said, the brothers can resolve this and that this doesn't cause division in our community, but it actually caused us to come together again and produce some healing. So I know that this will fade away as time fades away, but unfortunately, it's not going to go away because it's televised, right? And it'll probably always be up there. So let's see what we can do with this. And let's see if we can make this, turn this into teachable moments and not be so negative either way about Will or about Chris or say negative things. I've heard the most negative things like they need to take his award, they need to punish him, Chris Rock need to sue him, and yeah, he could do that, but what's that going to prove? And the man earned his award, so what's that going to prove? It's not fair unless you're going to take Weinstein's award and that other guy, Jeffrey Epstein's awards, and a lot of them other creeps and seeps, simps and pimps. You going to do that? So I don't think that's necessarily fair. So that's all I want to say. Okay. Thank you for joining me so much. I'll try to add those other clips and things into the description and I want to hear your thoughts. You could leave a comment and you could even disagree with me. It's okay if we disagree as long as you are not disrespectful because I will block and delete your ass and you would be out of here because I don't play that. Malika, don't play that. Okay. I come to be a light and I just can't exist in the darkness unless I'm leading you out of the darkness into the light. So that's what I want to say. Leave a comment and let's have some dialogue. Subscribe to the channel. And yes, follow my journey. I love you all. Bye.